Welcome back to Icons of Influence, the podcast where we explore the lives of extraordinary individuals making a lasting impact across business, entertainment, activism, and beyond. If you have enjoyed any of our content, please like and subscribe so the content can continue and get better. I'm Hannah Halley, and in today's episode, we're diving into the incredible journey of an entrepreneur who has disrupted the business world and redefined what it means to be a modern leader. Steven Bartlett went from a university dropout to building a multi-million-pound business before the age of 30. As the founder of Social Chain, an investor, and the youngest ever host of BBC's Dragon's Den, he has captured global attention for his unfiltered insights on success, leadership, mental health, and personal development. With his best-selling book and wildly popular podcast, The Diary of a CEO, Bartlett is influencing a new generation of ambitious minds. But his journey hasn't been straightforward. His story is one of resilience, vision, and breaking the mold. Today, we're unpacking how he built his empire, the challenges he faced along the way, and how he's shaping the future of business and self-improvement. Let's get into it. Steven Bartlett's journey is one of sheer determination, risk-taking, and an ability to see the bigger picture when others couldn't. His story begins in Botswana, where he was born before moving to Plymouth, England at a young age. Raised in a working-class household by a Nigerian mother and a British father, Steven grew up with a strong work ethic instilled in him from an early age. However, his childhood wasn't without challenges. As a teenager, Steven struggled in traditional academic settings. He found school uninspiring and didn't conform to the conventional pathways to success. Despite being naturally intelligent and ambitious, he felt disconnected from the rigid structures of education. He enrolled at Manchester Metropolitan University, but quickly realised that university wasn't the right fit for him. In a bold move that would define his future, Steven dropped out after just one lecture, a decision that baffled many but ultimately set him on his path to entrepreneurship. Instead of following the expected route, he began to self-educate, consuming books, studying business trends, and paying close attention to the rapidly evolving digital world. He realised that social media was becoming the most powerful marketing tool of the modern age, but many businesses weren't leveraging it effectively. This insight laid the foundation for what would become his first major business venture. At just 22 years old, Steven co-founded Social Chain, a revolutionary digital marketing agency that took an unconventional approach to online advertising. Unlike traditional agencies, Social Chain focused on harnessing the power of social media communities and viral marketing, using meme pages, influencer campaigns, and digital storytelling to drive massive engagement for brands. The company started in a small apartment in Manchester, but Steven's relentless vision and deep understanding of human psychology allowed Social Chain to disrupt the marketing industry in a way no one had seen before. Under his leadership, Social Chain grew at an unprecedented rate, securing contracts with some of the biggest brands in the world, including Apple, Coca-Cola, Nike, and Amazon. Within just a few years, the company expanded globally, with offices in New York, London, Berlin, and beyond. Steven went from a university dropout to running a multi-million-pound company, proving that success doesn't always come from the conventional path. But Steven wasn't just building a business. He was building a personal brand. Unlike many CEOs who stay behind the scenes, he was vocal, transparent, and engaging, sharing his journey, insights, and failures online. His authenticity and willingness to share the real struggles of entrepreneurship made him relatable to a generation of young dreamers who saw him as proof that anything was possible with the right mindset. However, Steven's journey didn't stop with Social Chain. He had bigger ambitions, deeper insights, and a desire to make an impact beyond marketing. His next moves would cement his place as one of the most influential entrepreneurs of his generation. Steven Bartlett's success with Social Chain was just the beginning. By his mid-20s, he had built a multi-million-pound marketing empire, but he wasn't content with simply running a company. He wanted to influence the way people think about business, success, mental health, and personal growth, One of the defining aspects of Steven's rise was his ability to tell stories in a way that resonated with people, whether that was about entrepreneurship, personal struggles, or lessons from failure. He understood that in the modern digital world, brand is everything, and he began positioning himself not just as a CEO, but as a thought leader for the next generation. This shift became even more evident when he launched his personal brand into overdrive. In 2021, after years of building a reputation as an insightful, no-nonsense speaker, Steven stepped down as CEO of Social Chain, a bold and surprising move for someone at the peak of success. But for him, the decision was about evolution and impact. He had built a successful business, but now he wanted to build something even bigger, a platform for ideas, discussions, and game-changing conversations. That's when he launched The Diary of a CEO, a podcast that would soon become one of the most influential business and personal development podcasts in the world. Unlike traditional business podcasts, which can feel rigid and corporate, Steven took a raw, unfiltered, and deeply personal approach. He wasn't just interviewing guests, he was extracting their most vulnerable and transformative insights. From billionaire entrepreneurs like Richard Branson and Mark Cuban to Hollywood stars, athletes and psychologists, Steven's guests span industries and backgrounds, offering insights not just on business, but also on mental health, success, failure, leadership, and human psychology. The podcast's tagline, "The conversations you wish more people were having," captures exactly what makes it stand out. It's about depth, authenticity, and the kind of wisdom you don't usually hear in traditional interviews. But Steven didn't stop with just a podcast. His personal brand exploded across social media, YouTube, and speaking engagements, making him one of the most recognizable and influential voices in modern entrepreneurship. His Instagram, LinkedIn, and Twitter accounts became powerhouses of inspiration and advice, with millions following his insights on business, mindset, and life. And then came his best-selling book, Happy, Sexy Millionaire. Unlike typical business books that focus purely on money and success, Steven took a different approach. He wrote about the myths of happiness, the illusion of social media, and the mental health struggles that come with chasing success. The book became a massive hit, challenging conventional ideas about wealth and fulfillment and solidifying his place as a modern-day philosopher of success. Steven Bartlett had successfully transitioned from entrepreneur to thought leader, but his journey was far from over. With his influence growing and his platform expanding, he was about to enter an even bigger arena, one that would place him on mainstream television and introduce him to millions of new fans. Steven Bartlett wasn't just building a business empire, he was becoming a household name. His podcast, The Diary of a CEO, had already cemented him as one of the most influential voices in business and self-development, but he was about to take things to a whole new level. In 2021, Steven made history when he was announced as the youngest ever dragon on BBC's Dragon's Den at just 28 years old. For a show that had long been dominated by established business veterans, his arrival signalled a new era of entrepreneurship, one driven by social media, digital branding and innovation. Unlike the traditional dragons who had built their wealth through more conventional industries, Steven represented the new wave of self-made entrepreneurs, those who had mastered the online world and built businesses with little more than a laptop and a smartphone. But stepping into this role wasn't just about TV exposure, it was about representation. For years, Dragon's Den had showcased a very traditional idea of business success, one dominated by older, white, male entrepreneurs. Steven, a young, self-made black entrepreneur who had grown up in poverty and built his empire through digital marketing and personal branding, brought a fresh and diverse perspective to the panel. His approach was different too. While some dragons focused purely on numbers, Steven emphasized brand storytelling, emotional intelligence, and social impact. He understood that in today's world, a business's success isn't just about revenue, it's about connection, authenticity, and purpose. And let's talk about authenticity for a moment, because that's something Steven Bartlett does better than almost anyone. One of the things that sets Steven apart is his radical honesty about mental health, self-doubt, and the struggles of success. Unlike many high-profile entrepreneurs who portray a flawless, hustle-driven lifestyle, Steven has been open about his battles with imposter syndrome, depression, and burnout. He's shared how, despite achieving incredible wealth and status, he still felt empty and unfulfilled at times. This vulnerability has resonated deeply with his audience. Instead of promoting the traditional grind culture that glorifies 18-hour work days, Steven has become an advocate for balance, well-being, and redefining success on your own terms. He's challenged the myth that money alone brings happiness, urging young entrepreneurs to chase fulfillment, not just financial wealth. Beyond Dragon's Den, Steven has expanded his influence in countless other ways. 1. Investing in purpose-driven startups that focus on mental health, sustainability, and innovation. 2. Speaking at global conferences, including TEDx and business summits, where he shares his insights on entrepreneurship, leadership, and self-improvement. 3. Launching new business ventures, including his own health and wellness startup, Huel, where he continues to disrupt industries with a focus on sustainability and performance. At this point, Steven Bartlett wasn't just an entrepreneur or a thought leader. He had become a true cultural force. His insights were shaping how people think about business, success, and mental health, and his influence was stretching far beyond the startup world. But Steven Bartlett wasn't done yet. If there was one thing he had proven, it was that he never stops evolving. With his brand still growing and new opportunities on the horizon, what would come next? At this point, Steven Bartlett has already achieved more than most entrepreneurs could dream of. He's built multi-million-dollar companies, reshaped how we think about business, and inspired a new generation of leaders. But if there's one thing we know about Steven, it's that he's never content with standing still. His ambition, his vision, and his ability to reinvent himself mean that his journey is far from over. One of the most exciting areas of Steven's focus now is his continued investment in health and wellness. He's spoken openly about how physical and mental well-being are essential to high performance, and this passion has led him to invest in groundbreaking companies that are revolutionizing the space. One of his biggest ventures, Huel, the plant-based, nutritionally complete food brand that's taken the world by storm. Steven isn't just an investor in Huel, he's a key strategic advisor helping to scale the company globally. Huel aligns perfectly with Steven's philosophy: sustainability, efficiency, and empowering people to be their best selves. And then, of course, there's The Diary of a CEO, which isn't just a podcast anymore, it's an empire. What started as an audio project has exploded into a global movement. Today, The Diary of a CEO isn't just one of the biggest business podcasts in the UK. It's one of the most watched podcasts in the world, with in-depth interviews featuring the likes of Gary Vaynerchuk, Mogul, Simon Sinek, and many more. Steven has transformed it into a powerhouse of thought leadership, self-improvement, and raw, unfiltered conversations. But he's not stopping at podcasting. Steven has taken his storytelling and business insights into new formats, launching live events, books, and even his own media company to expand the reach of his ideas. His book, Happy Sexy Millionaire, became a Sunday Times bestseller, proving that his influence isn't just digital, it's tangible, and it's here to stay. And let's not forget, Steven's biggest strength is his ability to adapt. He's not just a businessman, he's a cultural observer, a trend forecaster, and a master of staying ahead of the curve. He's deeply involved in the world of Web3, AI, and digital innovation, predicting where the future of business is heading and ensuring he's at the forefront. Whether it's blockchain, personal branding in the metaverse, or the psychology of digital consumer behavior, Steven isn't just following trends, he's shaping them. And on top of all that, his impact goes beyond business. He's using his platform to push conversations around mental health, diversity, and the evolving definition of success. Through mentorship, investment, and storytelling, he's proving that true success isn't just, so what's next for Steven Bartlett? If history tells us anything, it's that he's nowhere near finished. Whether he's launching a new business, investing in the next big thing, or challenging the way we think about success, one thing is clear: his influence will only keep growing. That wraps up today's episode of Icons of Influence. If you've been inspired by Steven's journey, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share this episode with someone who needs to hear it. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time for another deep dive into the lives of the world's most influential changemakers.